All right. Welcome to Life Studied. Um, it's your favorite, absolute favorite figure drawing podcast on Patreon and YouTube. All the other ones are bums. I'm here with my what's that?
Hands down.
Hands down. I'm here with my good friend Mairin-Taj-Kaya. Mairin-Taj, how are you?
Hi, I'm all right. How are you?
Good. So we have we are sort of in the middle of a heat wave a little bit, although it's cooled down
Yeah.
here in PA. So if you hear a background buzzing, it's just a fan going. Please mind the fact that Mairin-Taj can't melt while pausing.
Yes.
Um,
That'd be an interesting study.
yeah, I don't feel like drawing a puddle. Anyway, the idea here is that we get together once a month and we talk art while I draw and she poses. Mairin-Taj is a longtime professional artist and art model. And a recovering ballerina. And I am Mike Hawthorne. I draw stuff, and I don't have any other skills unlike Mairin-Taj. And we get together and just make these little like live videos for our patrons, just to share how we feel about art.
Yeah. Specifically drawing.
Yeah, specifically drawing.
Yeah.
If you dig the show, join one of our Patreons. I'll link them in the description. We are also hosted here by the folks at Curio in downtown Lancaster, PA, who we all love. It's an art store and gallery event space thing. I will also link their site in the description. They will special order art supplies. But what makes them special is that it's run by a couple that are both artists, like working artists, not and they know their stuff.
Yeah.
So you can go to Michael's if you're like a dork, but if you got your art supplies from a place like Curio, you'd be buying it from people who care about art and care about getting you the right supplies, not just the cheapest supplies. So
Right. And they'll often work with and stock supplies for artists made by artists.
Yeah.
Which is really
Yes, actually, yeah. Like Nicole has a wall of cards she's designed
Yeah.
On the side, which I picked up in a pinch.
Likewise.
Check them out. And also our friends at Blackwing, who send us pencils. Sorry, that's upside down. Blackwing. They make amazing pencils. These were the favorite of Chuck Jones, who is a legendary cartoonist.
Yeah.
Steinbeck. If they're good enough for Steinbeck, they're probably good enough for you. You should check them out. I love them for drawing, for figure drawing specifically. But some folks just use them for journaling and writing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to write, so I don't bother with it. I'll put a link in the description also if you want to pick up pencils from them.
Yeah.
So, Mairin-Taj, how are you? Well, I already asked you, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But
I'm still good.
Yeah, good.
I'm still alright. Whatever the word was I initially.
And you just came back from a small little visit to the Brandywine, right?
Yeah, I was at the Brandywine again, which is great.
Awesome.
It's a little solo art day.
And you said they made you specifically an art show. Like everything you love. Did you want to mention anything about it? Or?
Well, check them out. I actually don't know how long the show is up for. Brandywine.org, you can look at their show listings. But there's a great show up right now called This Earthen Door, I believe. And it's a really cool confluence of Emily Dickinson's poetry, two contemporary artists, gardening skills, and working with natural materials, natural pigments. And it was really interesting.
Awesome. That literally is right up your alley.
Yeah.
Couldn't get any more specific.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you're feeling kind of energized art-wise, except for the heat, sort of killing the energy for you. And I mentioned that because we've had a show a couple episodes back about art food, or the idea of like going out and looking at things so that you sort of re-energize yourself, give your battery a boost, and get inspired to drawing.
Right.
Today I figured we'd talk about like how often should you draw, right? Like inspiration's great, but if you don't start putting the pencil, Blackwood pencil, to paper, then what's the point, right? And you and I have probably drawn too much, so I feel like we're just the people to advise new artists on what not to do as well as what to do. If you're ready,
hopefully we have some kind of input that might be useful.
Yeah, yeah, not just you know, generic. There's a lot of like online memes or hashtags about drawing daily, and like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think to some folks, drawing means like sitting down for hours and trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
And who could do that and still hold a job and take care of a family and all that stuff. So
It is very subjective, I think.
yeah.
You know.
All right, so let's get drawing. I will.
Let's start with a couple of warm up, 2 minutes.
Perfect.
And then we'll do some longer poses.
So 2 minutes, which is kind of right up what I was thinking with how often you should draw, because I think the thing that we often see is this emphasis on like doing almost too much, right? Like pushing yourself, and you got to make these sessions count, and every drawing has to mean something. Where you and I are probably doing 2-3 minute warm up sketches that we know don't amount to much, but they get you moving, right?
Yeah.
So when you hear these folks talking draw daily, to me, that's what that means. Not hours and hours long sessions, but maybe just a few minutes where you can snatch away some time to draw. But anyway, what are you thinking in terms of how often you should draw?
Well, I think it's kind of twofold in that where I'm going is you can either draw. In the past, we've emphasized, like draw just for fun, just to play, to have no expectations as to the result. And then we've also talked about the discipline of drawing and the drawing to put in quality time to get something that is sort of worthwhile at the end.
Right.
So there's those kind of two different categories generally. And then I would say that I think it's important to consider how long you're spending at those two different categories. And I feel like they should be different. Like
Okay.
the amount of time you're practicing the play stuff maybe needs to be different for you than the amount of time you're practicing the productive stuff.
Right. Okay.
And that, I'm sure, is very unique, and that changes depending on whatever you're going through in your life or your other responsibilities. But I just want to kind of pose that as a
I like that.
think.
No.
Think about that, because we can easily kind of just get into dicking around play mode.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're doing that too much, like it can be too indulgent. Like you're not really getting anything out of it other than just
Doodling.
messing around.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that for too much of the day, too many days, I don't know, it's like it's sort of like the drawing equivalent of I'm thinking and researching a lot, but I'm not actually getting into what I really need to make.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
God, yes. Because I will catch myself.
I do that all the time.
Oh God, yeah. It feels like work, right?
Right.
Like,
I'm prepping. I'm doing all this prep.
Yeah. And there's no drawing happening.
And there's no real productive.
That's a great point.
My play is serving something ultimately.
Yeah. Because it can feel like, I've been working, I've been drawing every day.
I've been making some fun stuff.
Yeah, and I was thinking, as you were mentioning, I was thinking of like people, right? They're on their phone and they're doodling.
Sort of like what you did in high school and homework doodles.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, that's a great point, right? Because then it goes from, like this 2-minute pose, right? Like we take for granted that 2 minutes is a short amount of time. However, I would challenge anyone out there to sit down and just give themselves whatever, a drawing, a book, or it doesn't matter to me, just a flower, whatever, and set a timer for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And make yourself intently look at that thing for the full 2 minutes. You'd be surprised how much of a challenge that is for a lot of folks, especially now when... Yeah, where like our attention span is a few seconds.
Yeah. Right.
And that probably goes for all of us. I'm not judging from on high. I've caught myself stopping to like, let me check my email. I'm just sitting here.
Yeah.
Instead of looking around like we would have done in the past, right? So I think...
Great point.
But yeah, the idea of not all drawing is the same. So whatever you're doing... I love the categorizing it based on what your goals were, because we never said, and she never said, don't draw for fun, but if you want to make progress, they can't be all for fun.
and it can't all just be like nose to the grindstone,
Correct.
just in the service of something else, whether that's a client's vision or, you know, your own vision, but it's a project and it's ultimately a product. You know,
Right.
we have to, artists need both sides of that spectrum for sure.
Yeah, and I've been so guilty of not doing enough of the playful stuff that I catch myself advising people to draw for fun, and then, you know, I'm missing. I guess this is where drawing a lot or drawing for a long period of time makes you blind to what you should be helping people with, especially as a teacher. Because like I will tell people, yeah, don't get burnt out, don't. But most of the people who are just starting out are so far from ever being burnt out that like, why are you giving them that advice?
Yeah, that's
You know?
true too.
But okay, so you are saying we don't have an answer to how often we should practice. It just sounds like you're saying when you do practice or when you do draw. God, I keep saying practice because I'm such a hack. When you do draw, you should have a specific intent in mind. It sounds like you're saying.
Well, so the preface to the question of how often you should draw for me begins with, you know, assess kind of yourself and where you're at, but if you're doing it for play, consider having a little bit of a time cap on that play. And
Yeah.
if you're doing it for discipline or a product or result, then consider the amount of time you're spending in that form of drawing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, look at what you're doing and why, and discipline of the studies, like that's practice and maybe play, but you're narrowing the time that you're doing that because
Right.
you want to to your great point, you want to actually lean into that. The discipline of time allows you to practice things that you really should be practicing,
Right.
like looking
Right.
with intention.
Right. Yeah. It's that's one of the ones. I just wrote a Substack about not seeing what you think you're seeing, and
Yeah, that's right.
and how often that happens even for trained artists, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
all the time.
so it's a good exercise to stop everything and just look at a thing, and not, oh, look how pretty that flower is. Like, we don't mean that. We mean literally, what is the what are the simple shapes that the thing is made out of? What is it? What am I actually seeing?
Yeah.
And what am I convincing myself I'm seeing? And in this column I wrote was about this thing called the Coffer's illusion, and it's all a series of lines, but if you're from a developed country, you tend to see rectangles. And when they go to places where the architecture tends to be more natural, those folks see only circles. It sounds like it should not be like up for dispute when you're looking at it, but for me, like it drives me nuts because even knowing, normally you come into this illusion, not knowing what it is. You just look at it and say, "What do you see?"
Yeah.
And I knew what I was supposed to see, and I still couldn't see it. I had to cheat and look into what was like, where are the circles, if that makes any sense. So just looking to learn to see is an exercise we should all do probably daily.
Yeah, I would say every human, frankly, but regardless of being an artist. But
Correct.
I think, for me, from just being mindful of the time you're spending doing what quality of drawing or what discipline of drawing,
Yeah.
what purpose of drawing, I would say from there, I'm not really sure what I would say from there. How long are you drawing for? Like, do you advocate drawing daily?
I was going to call it and say you should draw daily.
Yeah, okay.
I know that I'm kind of a psychopath though about drawing. So and I know that not everybody can draw, nor do they want to draw daily. But to me, if I tell a person draw daily, I mean you could do it for 10 minutes and just be out. Like, you don't have to spend hours at it.
Yeah.
It could be literally, I'm going to go to a cafe, grab a cup of coffee, just doodle everything around me that forces me to look at it in a way that goes beyond just, there's a person with a hat, there's a counters, like, and actually try to figure out how all those things relate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking at you now, and I'm looking at how does the shelf intersect with what part of your figure?
Yeah.
What's the angle at the legs? Like, I'm trying to figure things. And there's always like numbers around her head. She's trying to figure. So I would say if you do that 10 minutes a day, you're going to see progress brought up in terms of drawing just for fun with no goal in mind, drawing for therapy, drawing for just to like do something other than staring at your phone. And that's mostly just, again, me being blind to anything other than our like my small little world of experience and drawing for clients all the time and being a little too much about it, right? Like, so I that's why it's interesting to me your idea of deciding in advance, like, what is the point of this drawing right now, not just because I always had this vague, like, I got to get better kind of thing, and I don't know that matters. I mean, that's not true. It matters to me, but it shouldn't inherently matter. Like, that shouldn't be what gives the act of drawing value. Is that on the other end, you are some world-class artist or something?
Well, I think if you are drawing and you want to have a practice of drawing, broadly speaking, you're aiming at that, or you're integrating that practice into your life because you want to do more than just, oh yeah, I doodle absent-mindedly sometimes.
Yeah.
And so if that's true for you, then there is at least some element of, I want to improve. Right? And that can be regardless of, like, I want to improve is not necessarily to say, I want to be famous.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And so if your practice is, I want to improve, I want to have this as a part of my life, regardless of professionalism or not, then I think you have to balance I draw sometimes for just me and for play and for pleasure and to be able to kind of relax into the joy of drawing, and also I have an aspect of my drawing which is to improve, to study, to pay more attention.
Correct.
And balancing those two is really important. And then how you balance those two, again, that's a lot of that really relies on your personal life and how much time you have and all of that. But for discipline practices like what Mike is doing now, which does have a component of, it's relaxed because it's not a product he's making right now.
Yeah.
But it does have a service. And so with those kinds of what we would generally call warm-ups, practice runs, gestures, I think it's smartest to time it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And have it be a small part of your day, not a big part of your day.
Perfect. So we're saying draw daily.
Yeah.
Draw with some intention.
Yeah.
Don't just mindlessly do it.
Right.
Be specific about the goals behind those intentions.
Yeah.
And time everything.
Time it. Yeah.
Like every single one of these episodes, if you watched any of them, you probably hear the little boopity boop in the background because we're timing every single one of these drawings. Right now, in figure drawing sessions, that's done mostly to keep the model healthy because people will lose track and ask
take
the model.
advantage and
Yeah.
be like, hey, keep going.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, that's
this
crazy.
fucking sucks.
But it's also a powerful tool for like just keeping yourself healthy and accountable.
I do that in my own space. I'll set timers, and it's inconsistent. Like, it's just like, oh, I'll do that for a few poses and see how I do. It's just sort of a way to measure yourself.
Where I would do it in reverse in like an unhealthy way. Like I would try to measure how productive. I probably told you in the past, like I even time my level of focus, and I know the difference between day and night. Having full all-nighters, right? So 45 minutes, I can lock in no problem during the day.
Right.
As soon as the sun goes down, it goes up to 2 hours.
Right.
And that's not just me. There's been some study behind like the ability to focus better when everybody's in bed, which is why I think you have a lot of artists that are like night owls.
Night owls. I've definitely noticed that for myself too.
Yeah, and it's not healthy. It's not good for you. It's just, it's addictive because we live in this like hyper productive culture, and if you can do a small change that makes you more productive, it feels like a good thing.
Yeah, right.
But I end up with a whole different outlook on time, where like I'm not looking at 45 minutes going, man, I could get 10, I don't know, whatever, a few minute drawings, or I could do 4 10-minute drawings with a little bit of a break. Instead, I end up with uh, like an unhealthy look at the time in terms of what can I get done in 45 minutes and how do I get more out of it. And it just, it's not the best idea, especially when you're starting a practice of figure drawing. I think what you're saying is much more productive and healthy, and just saying, I'm going to, set this timer for whatever you're comfortable with. We tend to do short amounts of time in figure drawing to warm up, so that you can't get precious about the drawing and it forces you to simplify your work.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have to be 2 minutes. It can be whatever you're comfortable with at first. Just be aware that the faster you make yourself go, the more likely you are to like get out of the sort of brain lock where you draw what you think you're seeing versus what you're actually seeing.
Yeah, and you're more likely to, frankly, take greater strides in improvement.
Yes.
I mean, art is uncomfortable. I've said that before.
Yeah.
I think that's a great like an umbrella philosophy.
It is.
And so therefore, smaller things under that umbrella, like practice, needs to also be in some way uncomfortable. Like
Unfortunately,
if you make yourself too comfortable too much of the time, maybe that's just I'm doodling in my homework.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, if you're coming to the show and you're like, I don't want to be Da Vinci, I'm okay with that, then more power to you. No one's judging that. It's just that if you have a goal, if you're here, you probably have a goal in mind for improving how you draw.
Yeah.
And what Mairin-Taj is describing is how you do it. Is making yourself just a tad bit uncomfortable, and those shorter poses will do that. They force you into that mind state where you're just like, well, I can't sit and draw every little fold on someone's clothing, or measure every part of the figure. I have to eyeball this and look for relationships, and that's where the teaching you how to see comes into play.
And efficiency of choices too. Like,
oh yes.
Decision making is so fundamental to any kind of art, and when you're drawing, you have to be able to train to make decisions more efficiently and quickly.
That's so smart. I didn't even think of it in those terms. Yeah.
Just leaving out. Well, if you have the tendency to get lost in the aesthetic, dramatic appeal of the lashes.
Yes.
For example.
Oh God, that's so perfect.
You're not training yourself to make efficient decisions.
Yes.
You're wasting a lot of fucking time.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
No, but it makes me laugh because it's the one thing. God, the lashes thing.
Yeah.
I've said that so many times in class. Like, if you're drawing eyelashes in a 5-minute pose, you're doing it wrong.
You're missing the point.
Yeah. Although as I draw the eyelashes here, no, I think it's you're right. The little things you work from small to little. Sorry. Big to little.
Yeah.
Forgive me. And most of painting and drawing is like that. Like in painting, you start with big brushes and make big marks, and then you slowly narrow your focus and also physically do it with smaller brushes.
Right.
With drawing, again, you're drawing often with the side of the pencil, so you get broader strokes, and then you might slowly build up to form. That's what your brain has to do. Like, all that stuff it's not just a mechanical thing. It's us trying to get students to open up, right? Like, stop drawing an inch from the paper in this sort of writing way of using a pencil, using it this way, and forcing yourself to be more broad and open.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know if people talk about this enough in the teaching of drawing and the teaching of genetically, just through evolution. Like, we focus, we pinpoint, we hone in with our eyes.
Yes.
And so when you're drawing, you just kind of default to doing that.
Yeah.
But if you're rendering an image, you're starting from nothing, so you have to effectively render the background or the broadest of impression,
Correct.
the broadest information, and then you have to build that information up.
Yeah, and using your metaphor of eyelashes, hair in general just lends itself to that. People want to draw every individual hair versus the shapes of masses of hair, things like that.
Right.
And you can't do that if you make yourself draw for 2 minutes or a shorter amount of time for your level of experience. I mean, we have classes where we make students do it for 30 seconds, which...
Warm-ups?
No, like when we're in class and I think you and I have done this several times where we just do the 30-second poses.
Yeah.
And you see them freak out because they're like, wait, what?
They actually literally, from my perspective as a model, like I'm looking out so I can see all the students, they literally seize up physically.
Yeah, their eyes bug out. Yep.
It's like, and go. And then they're all just like, ah!
Yeah. But there's no better way to distort time for them, right? Because when you make them do the 30-second poses, all of a sudden the 2-minute poses feel like forever.
Yeah.
Whereas if you start with 2 minutes, they're seizing up not as badly as 30 seconds, but they're certainly not like open to loose gestural drawing.
Yeah, they're kind of meandering their way around the structures.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like a minute and 30 seconds go by, and they're just starting to be like, oh, okay, thorax, pelvis, head, and then time is up, and they really didn't get much down.
Exactly. It's like the old cliche of homework, right? Like you get a week to write a paper, you're gonna do it the night before.
Yeah.
They do that in like the micro scale. You give them 2 minutes, they're gonna still do a 30-second drawing.
Exactly.
They're just gonna fool themselves into the idea that they didn't. So yeah, that's a great point. So draw daily, time it, have a specific intention, and give yourself room for both study drawing but also play drawing.
Yeah.
Is where we're at so far, I think.
Yeah, and I would stress, don't overindulge with the play.
Yeah, yeah. Not if you want to see progress.
Right. And I mean that is advice to myself as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, sure. I mean, like I said earlier, I am masterful at prep. and I love learning and like just indulging my brain and down rabbit holes of
yeah.
And that has slowed me down a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's my own personal.
So how do you get out of that? You personally?
For me, I always remember, you're either a thinker or a doer, and I'm definitely a thinker, so I'm always trying to find ways to access just doing.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the antithesis of being a thinker. Then you end up thinking about how to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, just do. Just go.
Yeah.
That's hard for me, so that's probably going to be a lifelong battle. But.
Oh God, no. I'm probably the other end. I literally have a note on my desk that says "Don't think, just draw."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I catch myself wanting to plan everything and make the work better, and then I don't get anything done.
Right.
So I feel you on that, except that I worry that I've gone too far the other way.
You've overcorrected.
I've overcorrected by a lot.
Well, good for you for figuring out that overcorrection at least. Now you kind of know how that works for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I'm sort of in this weird space now where I'm starting a new project and I'm sort of struggling with how it should look. I have a lot more. It's a creator-owned thing, so I have a lot more freedom to make it look however I please.
Nice.
And so, a friend of mine says, it can't look like your Batman books, which he did not intend it to be this, but it really derailed me because I didn't know what that meant. I sort of absent-mindedly just like yeah, of course. And then after we hung up the phone and I'm sitting alone and I'm thinking, wait, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
That's what everybody, those books sold like crazy. It was why wouldn't I want to do that?
Mm.
And I understand what he means. He means that it should look like there's another level to your work that is reserved only for your own writing or your own finished product, like not something done for a client.
Yeah.
And it's I'm making myself, maybe that's not even the right way to word it. I feel like so there's this idea that like if you don't take care of yourself, your body makes you, right? Like through either pain or exhaustion or whatever. And that's sort of where I am. Like I kept trying to force these pages, and I just could not make myself draw these things. And I would end up doing other projects and still drawing, but not the thing I need to do. And I realized it's just I can't make myself do it because I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my body and my brain saying it's not right, so we're just not going to let you do it. Like you're just going to take your pencil away until you get your shit together. So I'm sort of there now, and it's funny we're again off topic a little bit, so I don't, forgive me for that, but I want to bring it to what you said. I'm still drawing daily.
Yeah.
A lot more than the average person, but it's not moving the needle in a productive sense because I haven't balanced what you're doing and what I'm doing. I haven't balanced like thinking about what should this thing look like, do the research, but then get moving.
Yeah.
I just went straight to getting moving because I need to get the book out.
Oh, and then in that you were like, wait a minute, this isn't.
It looks. If I showed it to you or anyone else, I showed it to my kids. They're like, "Oh, that looks so cool."
Yeah.
But I know it's not right, and I don't know how to. I don't know how to explain why it's not right. It's my wife's been in the restaurant business since she was like 12. It's like ridiculous. We tease her about child labor stuff, but she understands food in a way that I've never. It's sort of like it sounds cliche, but it's like an art for her. Like if something is like bitter, she doesn't just, she goes, oh, it needs something sweet. She doesn't throw sugar in it. She'll throw carrots. It's amazing. Yeah. And she'll taste something and she'll go like, what's missing? I'm like, if I know, like it tastes amazing. And
she knows.
She'll do something to it. Hour later, I'm like, somehow it's more amazing. I don't know what you did. So I can't see it. I think her palate is just, I think it's a mix of genetics. Like her palate is just sophisticated to begin with.
But then it's refined from
right, and that's the thing that I haven't figured out how to do.
Oh, interesting. Refining.
Yeah, like I can look at drawings and I can look at art and I can go, here's why all of it is wrong, or this part is wrong and that part is right. Here's the science behind the color. Here's why the perspective works. But it's all like, for me, it all feels like surfacey. This book on the surface looks great. I just have to figure out how to go, but it needs to be great plus. I need to figure out what it needs carrots. You know what I mean, basically.
Art food.
Yeah, art food. I really need some art food, big time.
Well, that maybe is a bit, I think that there's two sides to every coin, right? So like, we're talking about draw daily, but then there are like always exceptions to the rule. Yeah. You know, so like when do you need to be like, not drawing today? Yeah. But how do I set up next day's drawing? Ooh. You know? Yeah. And that might be like what I did on Sunday. I need to be all day permission. I'm just absorbing.
No drawing, just going and just soaking it all in. Plus, you're out of the studio, which I think does something too. Like, I've been traveling a lot for it's a con season. Yeah. And I've caught myself, although I'm not. I mean, these shows are always fun, but you're like in a city, cool city, and you're not really in the city. It's not like a vacation. Everybody, I think, thinks it's like a vacation when you're on tour. No. It's like, oh man, you're going all these cool places, and but I am catching myself feeling less anxious about projects while I'm there because I'm just in the moment. Like I don't have time to stop and think about drawing. People are just coming up and going, hey, you're great. Can you draw me a picture? And you're just sort of in it. Yeah. And that's made me realize, like, why am I tell people get out of your studio, go soak in stuff, so you want to draw, and then I don't do it myself like an idiot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I need a trip like what you're describing. I think just to get away
And if your daily practice, and maybe it's not like literally every single day of your life, but you know, like if your regular daily practice is creating that sort of anxiety that you're talking about.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, maybe that's the signal
to chill out.
Yeah.
So we'll end it there. So draw daily with a caveat that the second it's creating anxiety, stop and go look at art, or go not look at art, just go be in nature, touch grass, as the kids say. But draw with intention, right? Like don't just doodle mindlessly. If you want to see progress, if you don't want to see progress, then crack open a bottle of wine and doodle mindlessly. I don't care, as long as you're happy. And time yourself. You don't have to be drawing for hours on end. 10 minutes will do it.
Time yourself specifically to be more intentional with looking.
Yes.
Like that's the point of that.
Okay.
You know, not just to like, oh, I'm gonna just see how long this takes, but like, how am I able to kind of focus your brain's lens?
Right. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's your answer to this episode. How often should you draw? Very cool. I think we'll leave off there.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you for being a patron. And if you're not a patron, why not?
Check it out. Try it out.
Yeah.
You can follow for free on Patreon. You can follow us and just sort of see what little like public freebies you can get, and then scope it out, and then try it for a month or whatever.
Yeah, and it's, you know, Patreon is nice because it's literally there's this sort of cliche of like, oh, it's less than a coffee a month, but I mean, it's like literally you can join a Patreon for less than one coffee a month.
Yeah.
So I will put the link to both of our Patreons in the description. Otherwise, do you want to direct anyone anywhere? Instagram or so? Did you start a newsletter? I don't remember.
No, I did not start.
Okay.
I have one, but
you write on your, like, you do have. Sorry. You have a newsletter, but not on like Substack or anything. It's just you send it out via.
It's on my website actually.
Okay.
You can get my Sketchbook Saturday newsletter on my website.
Very cool.
Which is linked in my what's the thing called?
Instagram.
There you go.
Instagram. Which is
studio_Mair MAIR.
MAIR.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm Mike. I won't give you my links. Just look at the description. And thank you. We really appreciate the folks at Curio for having us here.
Yes.
Thank you to you for your wisdom and everything that I end up learning from you with these sessions. Thank you to Blackwing. Again, it's upside down. And we'll see you guys next month.